Welcome back, my loves. This is the story behind the story. We are doing a special feature of authors of our newest book, Feisty. Today, back for how many times is it? Hallie, you've been with us a
I
bunch of
mean,
times, back by
it's
popular
a
demand. Hallie Avolio, my love, welcome to the show. Welcome to the book. I'm so glad that you joined us. You have a pretty unique story in your process of writing. So I'd love to know a little bit about, I want you to share with
yes.
everybody else a little bit the story of how you came to be a feisty author, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad to be here. I think the very first one of the very first times we interacted, Sierra, was via podcasting. So
How best friends are
it's right.
made.
It's just
Yep.
it's a thing. I love it. I love it. Um, yeah, I posted this last week on all the places I post things, and I'm excited to share this story because being a feisty author was absolutely meant to be in the cards, divinely guided, all of the things. And so I'm very excited to be part of this experience and this collaboration. For anybody listening, my name, first of all, like Sierra said, is Hallie Avolio, and my business is called Sassy Healthy Fit. And that's how Sierra and I have known each other in this context of entrepreneurship over the last several years. And just maybe a few weeks ahead of deadline for this book, Sierra sent me a very auspiciously written uh, text message and said, Hallie, I need you to be part of this book collaboration. And she told me the title, Feisty. And she said, if I think of anyone that's feisty, it's you. You're sassy, you're feisty. And of course, not only was that a bit of like a stroke to the ego, but I was like, yeah, feisty. This like lights me up, makes me feel really, really pumped. But the but here was, like I said, it was a pretty quick turnaround on the deadline, just a couple of weeks out. I think the recommended wording for the chapter was 3,000 words, which felt a little bit ominous because I had a lot of moving parts going on in my life at the time. It was just before the holidays. I was launching a multi-day masterclass. I was in the middle of launching my mastermind. So I had a lot of things happening. And kind of my initial response was like, oh no, this is not happening right now. This is just, it's not in the cards. It's just, there's too much going on. And I firmly believe in not hustling. And I firmly believe in keeping life easy for my own sanity. And, but it just kept kind of like niggling, will be the word, in the back of my mind. I was like, this book, I've wanted to be an author for so long. I love reading. This sounds really appealing. That name Feisty is just really grabbing my attention. So I left a voice audio for one of my soul sister besties, and I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. There's this book opportunity. It's called Feisty, and I go into the whole thing. And she leaves me a message back and she says, Hallie, I think you have your answer. You're doing this. And I said, oh, yeah, huh? So my inner North Star was super aligned with this project, and my ego, my fear-based part of me that said, nope, you have too many things going on, was trying to hold me back. And I'm just so grateful that I leaned into my intuition, because that was just the beginning. But writing this chapter was a super transformational experience, probably more so than almost anything else that I can relate to, even in the last, several years. So, all in all, I'm super proud of this work. I love the collaborative effort of the authors. It's been an absolutely tremendous experience working with Sierra, and I'm so excited. So, it was meant to be.
Well, and I'm so glad that I followed my niggle and you followed yours, even if a friend had to sort of kick you back to it, because the reality is, even women who joined months earlier, we all always have a lot going on. Like, there's never, like a 3-month period where you're just like, look at all this open space. That's not a thing. And, um, but weighing in like what is the right place to put energy, because it certainly is um, time investment, and like you alluded to, there's a lot that can come out of the process of writing a chapter internally, aside from the actual chapter and the published book and all the things that naturally go with stepping sort of more into that space. But even this subtle or internal process of digging in and telling your story can be huge. You mentioned a little bit about who you are and what you do. But one of the things we like to do is really draw attention to your expertise. And so, what are you an expert at? What are you about? What's your sort of battle cry in the world these days?
Well, I love that you call that the battle cry in the world because, my quote unquote official title, which I kind of hate titles, which is very fitting. Can I share the chapter of my book, what it's
Yeah,
called?
of course. Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
so my
Anything. Just not
chapter
the
is
punchline.
right. My chapter is called Writing Your Own Rules. So when anybody tells me, well, you got to have a title for what you do, I'm like, meh, I don't want to do it. I want to do it my way. So my official title, for what it's worth, is I'm a manifestation and self-love coach. But my battle cry, which I definitely resonate way more with that language, is empowering humans, mostly women, but I also love working with men, empowering humans to step into their most authentic power and manifest their wildest dreams so that they wake up every day feeling like I am so freaking lucky that this is my life because it's my life and I am living it. And that is my mission, my purpose. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that that's why I have lived the life I have up to this point, and how I will continue to live my life going forward is to instill this, because so many people get like lost in all of the stuff and then they forget who they are and then they stop living authentically and then they feel like shit. And we don't want that. I want people to feel happy.
And they have the title and they do the thing, and they show up like they're supposed to, and they effing hate it. Yes.
Exactly. I mean, I lived that life. It sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's and the whole time you were saying that, I was just getting flashes of of what you must have gone through to be in this space, to guide and coach people there, right?
Yeah.
No one just wakes up from a life of luxury and ease and says, I'm going to help somebody make a rough transition into a better space, right? That's not how it happens. It's that we've been internally sharing just a lot of face down moments of, I tried this, I like, it didn't work, or I thought it was going to go this way, and shit got real. And then what I learned from there is now what I'm good at. It's the hard stuff that gets us to where we're going. Um, and I always want to sort of dig in because of the title feisty.
Yeah.
Um, some people are like, well, what does it mean? And but isn't that sort of, shouldn't you not be so feisty? And I was like, yeah, that's the whole
That's the
point.
point.
There's a whole dynamic just around this single word. What does it mean to you to be feisty, and or what how are people struggling with finding their own feistiness? And so, like, what are the the loopholes that people fall into before they can like really be the feisty that we all inspire and hope for each other?
Well, and I think the kind of the back end feeling that comes along when people hear the word feisty is synonymous with when they hear the word sassy, right? And my business is sassy. I talk about being sassy as fuck, and I talk about, live, love, be sassy, right? So people get kind of this same feeling of like, ooh, sassy, but aren't I not supposed to want to be that? Isn't that like the eye roll, the brat, right? Same with feisty. So
Yep.
for me, what it means though is like showing up who you are unapologetically. And some days that might be like a really chill version of you. It might be like,
Yeah.
I'm just super chill today. I'm easy go lucky. Like everything can just happen. I feel good. Other days, you might be in kind of turned on, fired up. I've got to rock and roll today and get shit done mode. But however you're showing up based on what your energy is at, what your desires are, based on what your core values are, and understanding who you are inside. And that's why you're showing up the way you're showing up. So to me, that's the embodiment of being feisty, of being sassy. It goes together. And that's the piece that I want people to take away is we have to stop putting these labels like, oh, you can't be that way because you're going to hurt someone's feelings. It's like clearly I like to use F-bombs, and it's fun and it's just part of my language, and it's never in It's never in a way that's mean or spiteful or anger. It's always just it's really from a place of like high energetic vibration. And I put
Mm.
out a lot of content on social media. And one of the places that I've really found my rhythm in the last 6 months or so is TikTok. And I recently put out a video on TikTok, and I do these frequently. So I don't remember exactly which one it was, but I was talking about, connecting to yourself and how I said something like, oh, and you're so fucking awesome, blah, blah, blah. And somebody made a comment and said, you are so inspirational and so blessed. And I'm so grateful that I found your videos. But you would just be at such a higher vibrational frequency if you took out the curse words. And I thought to myself, now I'm not going to, make a comment video about this because it doesn't matter, but it really kind of struck me as like, it just made me pause for a moment. And I thought, I hear you, and that might be true for you, and that's absolutely fine. But for me, it's part of my level of excitement and engagement and how I show up. So I respectfully disagree, and that's fine.
Well, and what I hear you saying, and what inspired us to pull this collaboration together in the first place is that there's not one right way
Right.
for all of us, but that being feisty and being sassy is being genuinely you, and not genuinely who you think somebody else needs you to be, or any other edited version. you know my daughter is still 6 and gets dressed up in the most incredible combinations of colors and textures and fabrics, and she's just doing it because it feels good, right? It feels good, it looks good, she's enjoying having a human body, and it's just so much fun to learn from her, because she's definitely not thinking about what anybody else thinks. And I think as adults we've lost that to some degree, and um, the world would is such a richer place when each of us has discovered and is exploring their own genuineness, right?
Right. Well, and that's
So
why I feel so
let
passionately
let it
about,
rain down F bombs, baby girl.
right?
Right?
Well, and that's why I feel so passionately about self-love, right? Because and using the your daughter as an example is so beautiful because, as children, we do love ourselves. We are pure, and we show up in this world in this beautiful place of acceptance of ourselves, of others, right? There's no judgment of self or others until you start to learn it from external factors. Some people learn it earlier than others. And I believe so wholeheartedly that our journey back to self love, to unlearning those things that we've learned that have taken us away from being the most authentic version of ourselves, from being our feisty, sassy selves, is part of our own unique journey to bring us back to love, to bring us back to acceptance, to bring us back to a place of, you know, personal honoring, like honoring who we are at our core. And everyone's path is going to look different. And even though it seems like it would be really great if we could stay in that energy of the 6-year-old who's carefree and puts on whatever the heck she wants and is just enjoying life, we have to experience, I believe, all of the other facets of life so that we can come back to this very conscious decision, right? And
Yeah.
whatever point that happens, whether it's in your 20s, 30s, 40s,
And enjoy
60s,
it and
80s,
appreciate it. Yeah.
right? Whatever. Because when you come to a place of self love from a conscious perspective, I mean, that's how you truly connect to your highest self. And that is very exciting for me. And for me, my own journey, I learned that in my late 30s, early 40s. But I have clients who, one of my dearest, clients who's become a very, very dear friend, she's 75 and she's like
Awesome.
grooving in her best life right now. And it's so awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just so thrilled for her.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I am so excited to be sharing your story and all the other chapters from Feisty. It is out in the world. We're not going to give any more spoilers away, other than this idea of writing your own rules, figuring out what lights you up now. Um, I'm so glad that you actually initially resisted and came full circle, and are part of this collaboration. It's been really fun doing this process with you and sharing with you. And I know that your chapter is going to help a lot of folks. So I'm so
Thank
glad
you.
that you shared it. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm honored to be part of it. And, I didn't know any of the other authors prior to working together, and just hearing their stories and being part of their journey. It's really, really cool. I mean, to me, this is how we change the world. And I think you and I have talked about this, Sierra, but when we come together in collaboration,
For
when we
sure.
get to tell our stories and share our stories and then share the stories of others, that is truly making this impact. And I know that that's part of the larger title, right? Is women who are making an impact.
Yeah.
And what an honor to be part of this experience. And I'm thrilled. I can't wait for people to read it and to let us know how it's moving them. And, what are you taking away from it? How are you making micro shifts or major shifts in your life that feel really good to you at your core?
Yeah. Well, and you just touched on another point that is one of our favorites at Red Thread, is this collaborative nature, that things don't have to be hard. We're not about a hustle. We don't want anybody to like throw themselves to the wolves and like take on more than they can handle. But that's the beauty of the container of a collaboration is, a chunk. And then together we've all created this bigger thing, both the product, the community, and then the community of readers is larger as well, just because we're all sharing what we can each do without this sort of old idea that we all have to do it all by ourselves and
Amen.
suffer
Oh
suffer and
my
have it take
gosh.
forever.
Right?
Like, no more, done
No
done
more.
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for fun, ease, and feistiness, cheers.
Yes. Cheers. Absolutely. I love that.
Thank you so much for joining us again on the podcast, and I'm sure, given the nature of the world, we'll have you back on here again someday, and maybe someday even meet in Santa Barbara. I would love to see you face to
I
face. It'll
hope
be a
so.
pleasure.
That would be amazing. Amazing.
Have a
Thank you.
beautiful afternoon. Thanks for joining the podcast. As always, check back in. We have a number of other authors being featured in the next few weeks. And as always, bringing stories of women authors sharing their voices, making an impact, and just the behind the scenes also of how you go from dreaming to published author. Thanks as always. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.